All right, let's dive in. We're looking at some Calgary real estate data today for January 2025. It looks like we've got some official numbers straight from the city of Calgary itself, sales, median prices, and yeah, just kind of the lay of the land across different types of housing.
Should be a pretty fascinating look.
Yeah, and some things jumped out right away actually. Like how overall sales are actually down, even though more properties are listed,
Interesting, right?
and then row houses, those are seeing some big price jumps.
Oh, yeah. That's always an interesting one. That difference between how much is selling and how much is getting listed. That really tells a story.
For sure, for sure. So, okay, sales overall down 12% compared to last January. So, pretty significant, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely significant double-digit drop like that. I mean,
Mm.
especially with new listings going up so much. Like, what
Yeah.
was it? The 35.5% increase year over year?
Wow, yeah. So, way more choices for buyers, but fewer sales. What do you think? Starting to shift a little.
Could be. Could be. Maybe moving away from that strong sellers market. We've seen that in Calgary for a while now, though.
Right, right. Need that full picture. Before we go too deep on those numbers, you sent over that residential sales by price range visual. Most of those January sales were between 300,000 and just under 700,000.
Right, right. Gives you that sense of where the action is. And also where maybe some of those affordability challenges pop up,
Yeah.
especially for like first-time buyers.
Yeah, totally. Okay, back to those sales and listings though. More listings but fewer sales. What's the story there, do you think?
Well, it could be a few things, right? Like we said, more listings. Maybe that means more competition for sellers.
Makes sense.
Buyers have more to choose from, so they
Hmm.
take their time.
Yeah.
Maybe they shop around a bit more,
Yeah.
negotiate harder.
Yeah, you don't feel that same pressure to jump in.
Exactly. And then interest rates, they've been going up. That can make a difference for affordability, even a little increase.
Oh, yeah. Especially when you think about those monthly payments.
For sure. For sure. And then there's the whole economic picture, right?
Mhm.
Talk of a recession, maybe that makes people a little hesitant.
Makes sense. So it's kind of a mix then. More competition for sellers, interest rates, and just that general uncertainty.
Pretty much, yeah. And to really figure out what that slowdown means, we got to look at months of supply.
Okay, break that down for me.
So how long would it take to sell everything on the market right now? At the current pace of sales, that's the idea.
Okay, okay. So higher number means longer to sell everything. Are we moving toward a buyer's market then?
It's uh, it's a possibility. We've seen a
Yep.
big jump in Calgary. Months of supply are up.
Hmm.
Hold on, 91.6% year over year, sitting
Wow.
at 2.51 months now.
Wow. Okay. And on top of that, overall inventory is up too, like
Yeah.
way up 68%.
Yeah, things are definitely shifting.
All right. So potential shift toward a buyer's market then. More listings, fewer sales. That
Yeah.
months of supply and overall inventory way up. But okay, what about prices coming down too?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Mhm.
Things are softening in some spots, but overall, median prices are still up.
Interesting. So cooling off, but prices haven't really dropped.
Right. Total residential median price is 572,500 in Calgary now. That's a 9% increase compared to last January.
Okay, so still going up, just maybe not as fast, huh? Now you mentioned row houses before, big price gains there.
Yeah, that's a big one right now. Median price for a row house is wow, 128% higher year over year, 449,500.
128%. Wow, what's driving that?
Probably a few things. Row houses, they tend to be more affordable
Hmm.
compared to, detached homes. So appeals to more buyers, first-timers,
Right,
downsizers.
especially with interest rates going up, affordability is it's key.
Exactly. And row houses, they often have that. Less maintenance than a detached place.
Yeah.
And the location often more urban, walkable, that kind of thing.
So it's affordability, lifestyle, location, all of it. What about the other types of housing?
Well, detached homes, still the most popular in Calgary. Median price there is up just 1% year over year, 698,194.
Okay, so still going up, just not as much as those row houses. What about apartments?
Bit of a mixed bag there. Median price is up 4% year over year, so 311,500. But inventory is way up, 90% from last year.
So a lot more apartments on the market. Does that give buyers more power to negotiate?
Could be, yeah. Months of supply are high, too, like 3.5 months.
Okay, so we've got row houses leading the way, price-wise. Detached, holding steady but slower growth. And apartments maybe starting to favor buyers a little more. But wait, we haven't talked about semi-detached. They're the only ones with the price decrease, right?
That's right, down 3% year over year.
Yeah.
So 589,257.
Interesting. So for buyers looking for a deal, maybe semi-detached is a good option right now.
Worth a look, yeah. But remember, these are just overall trends. Real estate, it's all about those specific neighborhoods.
Right, of course. Okay, so we've covered a lot. Sales, listings, inventory, median prices, even dug into those specific numbers for each type of housing.
We're getting a pretty good snapshot here.
Yeah, but before we wrap up this part, that sales to new listings ratio, it was down to 50% in January.
Right. That's a big one. Tells you a lot about the balance, between buyers and sellers.
Okay, refresh my memory. What does that ratio mean again?
So above 60%, usually that's the seller's market. Below 40%, more of a buyer's market.
Right, right. Okay, so 50% we're right in the middle. What does that mean, practically speaking, for buyers and sellers?
Well, for sellers, might have to be a bit more strategic now. Pricing, marketing, all of that. Can't just expect those multiple offers, way over asking price.
Okay, and for buyers?
They have a little more breathing room, I'd say. Don't need to rush, overbid, just to get a place.
So more balanced market then?
Yeah, things are evening out a bit.
Okay, cool.
Gives both sides a better chance.
For sure, for sure. All right, so we've got that big picture, right? Calgary real estate, maybe starting to favor buyers a little. Sales are down, new listings up, and that ratio right in the middle, 50%, more balanced, all that. But okay, what does it all mean for you listening?
Yeah, that's what matters, right? All these numbers, they're
Mm.
they're interesting, but got to apply them to real life. Thinking about jumping into that Calgary market, whether you're buying or selling, this stuff is it's gold.
Absolutely making those smart decisions, right? So let's pretend for a second you're listening right now, thinking about Calgary. What are the big things you got to think about based on all this data?
Well, first things first, I'd say.
Hmm.
What are your goals?
Yeah.
Financial situation, all that. You want a family home, investment property, or something else entirely.
Right, right.
And the budget. How comfortable are you with a mortgage right now?
Mm.
Especially with the market, maybe shifting.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Easy to get caught up in the hype. But okay, let's say you've done your homework. You're ready to start looking. What kind of place are you targeting?
That all depends, right? What are your priorities? But looking at this data, some interesting stuff to consider, like those row houses. That price jump might make some people think twice.
Yeah, 128%. That's a lot. Is there even more room for them to go up, or is that the peak?
Good question. On the other hand, you've got those semi-detached.
Yeah.
Prices dipped a bit, might be more attractive now.
Especially if you're willing to do a little digging.
Exactly.
Remember, those semi-detached, they were selling faster.
Yeah, 1.91 months of supply,
Yeah.
faster than the overall average.
So it really comes down to you. What you need, what you want in a place.
No one right answer, that's for sure.
And that's why, working with a good real estate agent, that's key.
Oh, absolutely. They know
Yeah.
those neighborhoods, the data, all the trends, stuff you won't find in those big statistics.
Right, like your guide,
Hmm.
help you make sense of it all.
Exactly. And remember, even though we're seeing this shift, maybe toward a buyer's market, it's not a fire sale. Prices are still up overall 9%. Sellers aren't, desperate or anything,
Right, it's more balanced.
which is good, good for both sides.
Yeah, buyers have more choices, can negotiate a bit more, but sellers can still, get a good price.
They're smart about it. Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about the trends, different types of housing, what it means for buyers and sellers. But before we move on, one more thing: those micro markets within Calgary.
Oh yeah, it's huge. Real estate, it's all about location.
Right. So the citywide numbers, that's a good starting point, but got to dig deeper, look at those individual neighborhoods.
Exactly. You might have a buyer's market in one spot,
Hmm?
and just a few blocks over, it's super competitive.
Interesting. So like those row houses, right? Big price jump, but maybe that's just in certain areas.
Could be. Got to look at what's happening in those neighborhoods. New development, zoning changes, that kind of thing. Maybe what buyers want is changing.
It's like a real estate puzzle, right? You got the clues, the data, but got to put it all together.
And that's where, a good local agent, they're worth their weight in gold.
For sure. For
They
sure.
know those micro markets inside and out.
Right, like they speak the language.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to ask questions either. The more you know, the better decisions you'll make.
Absolutely. So even if Calgary overall is cooling down a bit, it's still a really interesting market. Opportunities for buyers and sellers.
For sure, for sure.
Do your research, know what you want, and find that right agent to guide you.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
All right, so that wraps up our look at Calgary real estate for January 2025. We've uncovered some cool stuff here. Remember, knowledge is power, so stay informed, keep asking those questions. Okay, so we've talked about Calgary overall, right? But remember what we said, real estate, it's all about the specifics.
Yeah, location, 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 right.
Exactly. Those big trends, they're a good starting point. But the real story, it's in those individual neighborhoods.
Absolutely. What looks like a buyer's market overall could be totally different when you zoom in.
Right, right. So like think about those row houses. Those prices went way up, but would you just assume they're all overpriced now, or would you dig a little deeper?
I'd want to know why those prices jump so much. Is it all row houses? Or just certain areas? Maybe there's been some new development. Or maybe what buyers want is changing.
Yeah, interesting. So it's not just about the numbers themselves. It's about understanding the context.
Exactly. And that's where a good agent comes in.
Oh yeah, for sure. They know those neighborhoods.
They know what's happening on the ground.
Right, so they can help you make sense of it all.
Absolutely. And don't
Ah.
don't be shy about asking questions.
Oh yeah, good point. The
What?
more you know, the better.
Right. Knowledge is power, especially in real estate.
Absolutely. So, wrapping up our Calgary deep dive here, the big takeaway is don't just look at those big numbers. Get curious. Explore those neighborhoods, talk to the experts, find that perfect spot for you.
Couldn't agree more. Happy house hunting, everyone.
Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.